As a last step on our tour through the system to understand the overall network health, we will have a look at the user devices in more detail. The user devices are actually the telephones and smartphones and video clients that are connected to the network. Here we see the distribution of the end device firmware versions that are used by the clients. This graph is already grouped, but you have the ability to look closely into each individual vendor. You can look at the Cisco devices, you could look at the Linksys devices, or you could combine different search strings to find what you are really interested in. A combination of Cisco and Linksys, for example. Below, for the filter I have entered, you see a complete list of firmware versions along with the count of users. So for this particular device, a Linksys SPA3102 on that particular version is used by 361 users connected to the platform. And on the right-hand side, you have a full list of those users available, allowing you to jump into the details of that particular user, create a particular trace for that user, or export this entire table into a CSV file, which you can then further process with Microsoft Excel. This is important because if you happen to have a firmware version known to cause problems, you can not only identify that on the Palladion system by tracking failed calls or following customer incidents, you can also analyze who else is affected by that firmware version, have the complete list of users, export it, use automatic provisioning to update the clients, or at the minimum, send an email or contact them otherwise to update their firmware before a problem occurs. We can also label certain devices that are known not to work, called disapproved devices. For example, I could say that this particular version of firmware has a problem. As you can see, it's now marked in red, meaning it has been disapproved. I can come back later and view the disapproved devices and see which ones are online and how many people are affected. You can quickly see if there are devices connected to your network that have a problem and that you may need to act upon.